Kirby, and I'm here with IlyaK,
Yes, that's me. Go ahead.
and we're doing the interview for the Eternal Tournament Series World Championships. Ilya, how are you doing?
Good, thank you, and I hope you're doing well too.
I'm doing fine. So obviously, you've filled in a bunch of questions for the form of the questionnaire, and all be on the compendium, link in the description, hopefully.
hmm
And so I want to just put a little harder on one of the questions. Your most recent season, season six. As you have put in, it wasn't necessarily a great season for you. You didn't get any series points, as you mentioned, 0-2 in the Invitational. So coming on from that, how do you feel about your chances going into Worlds, and what have you done to prepare for it?
Well, I mean, testing with the team, exploring some new brews. I mean, we just had the meta completely shift on us because after Horace Trevor, it was, hey, Tavrod Jordan of the Argenport Bulls is coming to dunk your face in, with his second, Bart. And Bart plus Tavrod really had the meta going for a spin, and all of a sudden, Bart just got the carpet yanked out from him. And the Lights Out Ace put out Lights Out performance, winning the Invitational with Zenon, and now that's all over the ladder. And then we just had the balance patch, which essentially buffed Praxis a little bit, nerfed Argenport pretty hard by taking out one of its critical 3 drops. And there isn't, it's a lot of shakeup to evaluate the new meta. So the team and I, so far mainly Unearthly and me, have been, just trying things out, seeing how things stand, and trying, to come up with something in the wake of these changes. Because if it was just Xenon, Argenport, and Armory, it'd be fairly simple and straightforward. But it isn't, because the whole meta has just taken a tumble because DWD decided to have this patch right before Worlds. So we'll see where things stand.
Okay. I was going to ask this later, but seeing you've kind of pushed me nicely onto it, what do you think will be the top deck coming into the Worlds meta and beyond in terms of tournament
It,
play?
it's it's hard to say, but I think the one constant is that Chalice goes over the top of everything, and I think that with decks like Xenon and Argenport pushing out the aggro essentially, but in response losing Aegis, in many cases, that you're going to have basically Chalice at the high end and TJP mid range, Combre Party at the low end, and then somewhere between there you're going to have the rest of the decks. Uh, I'm not sure if there's a particular deck to beat so much as where you're positioning yourself, because if you're bringing Chalice, then you're hoping to avoid TJP because they can go wide and hit you with a stand together, and then you're in a world of hurt. But if you're playing TJP, you're hoping to avoid Xenon because they have all these killer and deadly interactions, and they're slightly bigger than you, and they're slightly slower, so you're disadvantaged in that matchup. And then if you're Xenon, you don't want to run into Praxis because, again, they're slightly slower and bigger, and they deal with your obelisks with Shatterglass, and it's not pleasant for you. If you're Praxis, you're hoping not to run into Dark Combre because Dark Combre is going to harsh rule you and slay you and banish you, and then it's just going to say, I have an Ascendant and you're fucked. Excuse my language, pardon my French. And then if you're Dark Combre, you just don't want to get value grinded out by Chalice. That's going to say, hey, I don't even need this Chalice. I'm just going to take advantage of the fact that you're slow rolling things and then point channels at whatever. And then by the time I actually drop my Chalice, your 1 or 2 banishes aren't going to be enough to stem the tide. And that's what we've been seeing in the results. So it's basically, where are you positioning yourself on that circle? Given decks that we've seen. There might be decks that we haven't seen that someone says, okay, I'm just going to think outside the circle. I'm just going to take a deck that tries to attack all of it. So we might have somebody else bring who knows what. That's still very much in the exploration phase, but I think that's what the meta is shaping up to be right now. Argenport is somewhere in that mix on the low end, depending on how you decide to mix it up. If you go, on a really removal heavy suite, or you're going, for, an aggro-ish build. I want to tempo you hard, stick, maybe a district infantry and then go, instigator, interrogator, and then, doom, and just keep attacking you. I think there's a lot of places you want to be. The places you don't want to be, I think, are in primal related decks. Paradox put up a good performance with Skycrag, but I think that's a bit of a flash in the pan. Because Combre Healer into Sandstorm Titan, and you're going to be very sad. Again, TJP is going to make you very sad. 8 silences to your chakrams. I don't think you want to be in Skycrag. Huru is obviously a dumpster fire right now. I don't think that's any big secret. Felon Control, Combre kind of has you, has you outdude. Because eventually the Mystic Ascendants cycling and taking out one of your key removals, in the best of all worlds, and then the Parliaments and then the silences for your bars, you're not in a pleasant situation there. And LNX lost to Chalice in the Invitational to get eliminated. So if you're not LNX, then Felm isn't a good place for you to be either. Moving on to Elysian. Elysian is a fairly known quantity. Its interaction is trash. So, you're banking on the fact that that you're going to get into a board stall that you can crystallize your opponent, and you're not just going to eat spot removal into the abyss, which I think is a bit of a bit of an ambitious ask. So that covers the primal factions. And then fire, as Sarius has said in chat, that the reason Stone Scar has been good is that it would attack you, and blocking was somewhat ineffective against Stone Scar because they just rapid shot you or combat trick you and then develop another unit, and then suddenly you're on the back foot taking a lot of damage from instigators, and you're dying before you know what hit you. But now with more spot removal, good spot removal, Banish, Slay, Vanquish, Silence is running around and people really contesting the early game. Stone Scar just doesn't seem like it's the place you want to be either. Rakano aggro, again, sets itself up for either getting tempoed at hard if you're playing a 1/1 for 3 in Silverwing Familiar, or, spot removal is going to 2-for-1 you pretty hard. So again, don't want to be in Rakano. We've covered Skycrag, and Praxis is one of the decks that's going to be in competition. So, again, that's what I think the meta is looking like. I think essentially the nerfs that DWD has launched at aggro, namely Stone Scar and Rakano time and again, have finally, I think taken their toll, not just with the Stone Scar and Rakano nerfs, but the fact that, slowly but surely we have had interaction improve to the point that you actually can point enough spells at a Stone Scar Rakano player early on to say, your 1 or 2 early game deciding haymakers, your 1 Champion of Chaos, your 1 Impending Doom on turn 3 and 4. Yeah, they're not sticking, they're not doing damage, and then you're suddenly defanged. So, that I think is the meta from the, is I think why people have seen the decks that they've seen. Why certain decks have performed at the Invitational in the way that they've performed, and and the consequences of the partner.
That was a lot more than I was expecting, I'm going to admit.
Yeah, I mean, pretty comprehensive.
Yeah, that was very comprehensive. Okay.
I think there's a lot, there's some room, to try next level people, but, I like this, I don't think there's a deck to beat. I think there are, as Rhino put it on his stream today, there are decks that you can beat people with, and it's essentially where are you positioning yourself on that metagame circle.
Okay, so moving on from the meta a bit, you obviously are a part of O&D Flame, which are the winning team of Team League. Congratulations on that again, by the way.
Thank you.
And of course, your sister team, O&D Feather, a good number of both teams are represented in the Worlds tournament. So aside from yourself, obviously, who are you expecting to really perform in Worlds?
Well, first off, Angry Chicken. Right away, Angry Chicken. Like back before VPX and TMP merged, one of the things I said after like pretty soon is I want to I'd love to merge with TMP because Angry Chicken's amazing. They have some strong players there, and that was a fantastic move. And hashtag trust in Chicken because whenever it comes time to perform, Angry Chicken it just destroys people. So absolutely high. The usual expectations. I don't want to say high expectations for Angry Chicken, but the usual expectations. Haidar, I definitely expect to bring his A game. The guy is an absolute freaking beast. So that's let's just get that out of the way. Visarius is terrific player, possibly the best. He and Kamado I think are very easily very very identifiable star players on ET. Sunnyvale, he's an unknown quantity, but you can't argue with the results. Like he barely plays, and then all of a sudden turns it up, wins one ETS weekly, and then slams an invitational, and then suddenly it's like, whoa, what the hell hit me? The guy just made an MTG Pro Tour. His performance was above 50%, 9-7, not too bad when you're considering that it's a freaking Pro Tour. So Sunnyvale, nice guy, great taste in music, unassuming guy, but you think he's a rather unassuming, gentle dude, but when it comes time to play, Sunnyvale does not screw around. The guy is stealth mode, silent but deadly, absolutely fan-fucking-tastic player. I have some high expectations for him. Going down the list, Child Roland. LNX has heaped praise upon praise for him. The latest invitational, he didn't do as well as he would have liked, I assume. But you can't argue with a guy that comes out and wins an invitational. Absolutely fantastic player. So those are, the people that I just have, like tons of respect and high expectations for. Toth, we'll see what happens. It's been a while since his glory days, in season 1, and same for me with season 2. So I have to turn it up and hopefully bring something awesome. Kampfkroat, like the team league, he was on aggro, and his team SPG was at Echo. They didn't do as well, and Kampfkroat, when it comes time to do well, it's basically can fire aggro, carry him once again. And as I just said, I don't think fire aggro is in the best of places. So between the fact that he doesn't play that much and that his bread and butter is not well positioned, I think he's gonna have a challenge. In this tournament. And then, moving on to, Loco Pojo, Love Up, Lights Out Ace, and Sir Rhino. Like, Lights Out Ace, great guy, very jovial person, love watching the streams, great guy to interact with, great guy to talk with. We'll have to see. Is his invitational victory, one and done? Flash in the pan, one and done, or is he for real? Like every single one of the 16 players going to Worlds is a terrific player. When it comes time to actually turn it up, and we'll see if they can bring their A game. Like Loco Pojo, we thought he was a complete memester, and then he brings Big Elysian and does extremely well to mid-season major, and we'll have to see if he can do that once again because. The guy's clearly not a spike first and foremost. He loves innovating. He loves making his brews. He loves, just exploring where other people, have yet to explore. If Eternal has, the same thing that Wizards had, that got John Finkel, Shadow Mage Infiltrator, like you'd make a Loco Pojo based card and it would be an Explorer. So we'll see. Will Loco Pojo, find something, amazing and take the meta by storm. He's a wild card, and when it comes time to actually play, he's shown that he's able to do that. So he's he can do something amazing, and we might be talking about it for months to come. But there isn't a lot of there isn't a lot of recent evidence that he's been doing very that he's been having strong performances. His last strong performance has been at the midseason major. So like, does he show up? Which Loco Pojo shows up? And hopefully we'll see the Loco Pojo that comes to play to win. Because I think he's capable of that. And Sir Rhino, everyone knows him. Streamer, endless brewer, terrific film player. When it comes time, to really to really lay it down on the table. We'll have to see. Can he prove me wrong and say that, yeah, Feln is still a force. And for all the Shadow Primal, or for all the Moist Shadow players out there, I hope Rhino brings a strong showing. And as for me, looking at that list, there are a lot of good names on that list. I might very well actually be the worst player on that list. And as I said, I'll have to think of something and try to bring something good. I still don't know what I'm bringing at the time of this interview, but like, all these players are good. All these, Love Up, also fantastic player. Brazil representing, I believe he's from there. So
yeah, Brazil.
Yeah, Brazil representing. For his sake, I hope he crushes it. But yeah, a lot of strong players. I'll have to really step it up and hopefully find some performance where I haven't had it before, and for a while. Get back some of my old fire, but lots of good players there.
Okay, so that was very lengthy. I think we're almost done here. I just have one question more. If I have to force you to pick a deck right now for World, and you can lie about this, what would you take?
If I have to absolutely lie,
you don't have to lie, but you can lie.
I'll just say Chalice. Like, when everyone's trying to bring mid-range soup, you want to play the